right, this is the next episode of True Wrestling Fan Discussions. Continuing our pay-per-view retro review series. You mean your house 12? It's time. Even though Vader's not in it, it's still time.
It's Bret's time.
And we'll get into it. We'll get into why Vader's not here. But let's go.
Okay. Lots to cover on this one, man. It's time was referring to Bret Hart coming back, getting his title shot.
Well,
talking crap about Shawn and all this other good stuff.
Yeah, but originally it's time was for Vader. And he was supposed to be the champion on this night. You have to assume he was going to fight Bret on this night, if not Shawn in some other match in a rematch. Because remember, I mean, we got to cover it really briefly. Vader was supposed to beat Shawn Michaels at Survivor Series for the WWF title. That got changed, which is why ultimately he's not even on this pay-per-view, and it's still called It's Time because they send out promotional stuff months prior to all the cable providers, so there was no time to change the name, so that's why it was called It's Time.
I remember allegedly, and I'm not buying this because I didn't see any indication of this at when Sid fought Vader, but allegedly Vader had an injured foot, which is they say why he didn't win that match, but we all know the reason why. So I mean, if there was a legitimate injury and he wasn't there, fine, but I mean, I know Shawn had his issues with Vader, and which is why they changed it to Sid. But I mean, you take one with the other, man. It's like you're always going to have two sides to this, the craziness. But yeah, let's get started. December 15th, 1996, West Palm Beach, Florida. You got the Three Stooges running this thing: Vince McMahon, Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross. Ross has kind of simmered down a little bit. Yeah. You know, they're coming away from his heel thing. He's still a little cocky with the attitude, especially when Vince was dancing in the opening match. But let's get into it. It really was
Flash Funk.
Our opening match was Flash Funk versus Leaf Cassidy. It wasn't bad. It was they showed off the aerial moves for both individuals. Flash Funk obviously, was better at it than Leaf Cassidy. What's funny is during this match that Funk actually botched a springboard flip in the corner on Cassidy, so they kind of had to go back and try to do it again. And I thought that was funny. And then you hear the pause from the announcers because they're like, "Uh-oh," and then they're like, "Oh, okay, let's just go." They're doing it again.
Yeah, the match wasn't bad. It's just that nobody cared about these two characters, these two gimmicks. Nobody cared about. They should just left because he has Too Cold Scorpio.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if maybe he didn't own the name Too Cold Scorpio, or Vince was just trying to put his branding on him as Flash.
Well, he was Scorpio later on, so at least they finally went back to it.
Yeah, but it was already too late at that point.
Exactly. Vince always had to put his moniker on somebody. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You should have just had him in as Too Cold Scorpio.
And once he found out that he could dance, once Vince found out that he could dance, that was it. He was, he had to come out the Funkettes and,
Oh my God!
Nonsense.
I mean, the crowd was a little bit behind him. It was Leaf Cassidy that people couldn't get behind because I mean, this is Al Snow
coming off the New Rockers, the success of the New Rockers,
and we know that didn't work. And they said that he wanted now to go to the singles competition, but by this point, it's like you said, nobody cared.
No.
It was Flash Funk got the victory. It was a 360 splash off the top rope and a pin, but Ross called it a shooting star press. Obviously, it wasn't it because the shooting star press is the other way. This went this way. Sorry, Ross, but I called you out on that one. But Flash Funk does get the victory. It seems Leaf Cassidy has a couple in your houses and still can't get a victory. It's unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is. Next after this is where the card starts really getting interesting. Kevin Kelly was interviewing Owen Hart and the British Bulldog, and they were talking about what they did on Sunday Morning Superstars, how Austin had gotten his victory. And they came down because apparently, Austin and Bulldog have a little bit of a thing going on here. And while they're down there, they get attacked by Razer and Diesel. No, not Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It was Isaac Yankem and some guy. So that obviously is the matchup for tonight for the tag team titles. Owen and Bulldog defending against Razer and Diesel.
Why they got a title shot is beyond me. You know what
I have no idea.
You know what I find super annoying about this? The whole Razer and Diesel thing was awful. It was garbage. It was just the WWF trying to say, yeah, look, we own the intellectual property. But then they kept referring to them as Razer and Diesel. But then at the same time, they acted like these guys were new. Like they just got there. My whole thing is this: if you're gonna go if you're gonna do this, just go all
Go
the
all the
way.
way. Yeah.
Former Intercontinental Champion,
Former
Razor Ramon,
WWE
former
champion.
WWF Champion, Big Daddy Cool, Diesel. Just go all the way with it. Why half-ass it and say, yeah, that's Razor and Diesel, and then restart?
I, I mean, Jacobs, for the most part,
Just gone
he
over.
looked the part a little bit as Diesel. It was believable if you were 5 years old. The other guy
No, you had to be like
couldn't act like Razor if you gave him a year's worth of
garbage.
training.
It was just
It
garbage.
really
But
was.
my point is they should just went all the way with it. If you're gonna go that far, you might as well. Anyway,
Why not give Diesel a WWE title shot now?
garbage.
Go ahead.
They were chanting Diesel sucks. You heard the Diesel
Razor sucks,
chant.
yes.
Razor sucks.
And Ross is like, I don't know why these people ain't giving him a chance
Yeah,
because they're not stupid. They know these guys are in WCW.
well, not only that, they're just like the fans are just like, what is this?
Their intelligence was insulted.
Yeah, it's just like, what's the point of this?
And why is Vince lowering himself to doing this?
They really thought these guys were gonna get over too. It wasn't like they were doing it for shits and giggles. They really thought that at least initially that this was gonna work.
This because there were several pay-per-views that they were. The Rumble was the last.
If you're gonna do this, just do it for one night as a joke. Do it the Royal Rumble.
Exactly.
Razor but
like the night they had the miniature Bret Hart come out after he was gone.
This is so stupid.
Just do a one-off and we're done. Yeah, no, they actually pursued this for several months. This was, I believe, they fought on 3 pay-per-views.
Oh Lord.
Which is 3 too many. But I mean, for whatever it is, Owen and Bulldog defended the tag titles against these guys, and maybe because the tag team division at this point is lackluster, it's missing because the teams are not there anymore. Smoking Guns aren't together. The Body Donnas aren't there. The Godwins are wherever the Godwins are. I mean, the Legion of Doom's not there yet. So I mean, I don't know, but. Matter of fact, they should have just gave it a tag title match to the guys that came down during the match. The AAA wrestlers, Cybernetico and Pyro.
Yeah, but they were only there because they were going to be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. And I didn't even understand why they brought them down if you weren't going to do a storyline with Owen and Bulldog. Yeah, exactly.
I don't.
Because I think that would have been a good match. Because, you know, those guys were talented.
So.
Seriously. I would have rather Jeff Jarrett team with somebody at this point. But yeah, those 2 guys came down during the match. They're doing their homework on Owen and Bulldog for whatever reason. And then what's funny is once they leave, here comes Stone Cold Steve Austin chop blocking Bulldog, and he comes down. He has to go now. And okay, let's just hurry up and get this match going. Razor went for the Razor's Edge. He couldn't even do that right. He gets trying to do it on Bulldog. Owen gives him the spinning heel kick on Razor. Bulldog rolls him up. They get the pin. They keep the tag team titles. Now, after the match, Austin came back and attacked Bulldog in the ring. And at this point, when I was watching this live, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Austin's got a thing going with Bret. Now he's going after Bulldog and possibly Owen. I started wondering, is there going to be a reconciliation between the Hart thing? Because you start thinking at this point, because Bret came back with a brand new attitude. And I started wondering, watching this live, is the Hart Foundation going to unite? Sure enough, it does.
Then Austin's still a heel.
Yeah, exactly. He don't turn fan favorite into WrestleMania, but I mean, some people were cheering him at this point. Yeah. So following this match, now Vince was in the ring. He interviewed Ahmed Johnson.
Went back from injury.
Yeah, and that at the Royal Rumble, he would be facing the leader of the Nation of Domination, Farouk. And this is where that cheesy "you're going down."
You're going down.
Down.
Yeah. But this was
good.
But this was after he said that he lost his house. He lost.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
Car. He lost his girlfriend.
Yeah. Okay, but
I guess because he wasn't getting paid. I guess because he was injured. I guess that's what they were trying to say was that because of Farouk injuring him, he couldn't put food on the table. I guess that's what they were going with it.
By this point, once they put Ahmed into this long duration, his career was over.
Yeah, he was still over. He was still over at this point. Yes, they're still cheering him from this. But this didn't. It didn't turn out well. We know the story.
No. Unfortunately, he was one of the hottest superstars in the beginning of '96. And it just went down from there, unfortunately. So, and then he's talking to Farouk. Farouk's on the balcony. Of course, he won't come down. He's calling him an Uncle Tom and all this stuff. So we'll get the match finally at the Rumble. Now, after this is where they did the video package leading up to our next match between Helmsley and Mero for the Intercontinental title.
I have something to say about this. I don't know if you caught it. A little editing they did.
Go ahead.
Did you notice how they re-edited it to make it seem like Triple H hit Mark Mero backstage? I'm sorry, that he hit Mr. Perfect backstage with that. What did he hit him with? He rolled something out. It was I don't know. I don't know what he rolls out. I forget. And he hits him and he knocks him out, Mr. Perfect, and injures him. They made it seem like he did that after he already won the IC title and to get rid of him. Like he didn't need him anymore. But that happened before that, because Mr. Perfect was supposed to fight Triple H or Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yeah, and
that night that was his comeback, right? And then it was a swerve because he becomes a heel. He turns on Mark Mero. But the way they edited the package, they made it seem like that happened before, and this was his way of getting rid of him because he didn't need him anymore. The true story is Mr. Perfect walked out to go sign with WCW.
Exactly.
I'm like, why would they re-edit? Well,
I don't know. That whole storyline for nothing.
For nothing.
Because it was actually it was building up pretty good.
I was looking forward to it. Yeah.
Exactly, especially Mero versus Perfect. But in any event, now we're going to get Hunter Hearst Helmsley defending the Intercontinental title against Wildman Mark Mero. And this match wasn't bad. They talked about how you could tell this is, they started the next storyline for Helmsley because they said how he went backstage, tried to talk to Marlena, and whatever he said, Goldust came out later. I'll get to that in a minute.
This is Terra Ryzing versus
Johnny B. Bad.
Johnny B. Bad, yeah, and then Dustin Reynolds.
Or Jean Paul Levesque when he actually dropped the Terra Ryzing to do the French gimmick.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Great stuff.
It's interesting how then Goldust is all the WCW guys. They're all like
exactly. We got our very own Super Brawl going on here practically. Yeah. So I mean, this match was pretty good. Mero and Helmsley, they wrestled good. I liked them because they were good mid card guys.
Yeah, I thought
Helmsley was finally coming into his own, and Mero. Well, I've talked about Mero how what really hurt him was the injury, and then
the Wild Man.
I think Vince gave up on him.
The Wild Man, Mark Mero.
Exactly, with Sable and everything. Now during this match, Mero accidentally clotheslines the referee. And, of course, can't get the pin. Shortly after that, now Goldust comes down. And he comes down, attacks Helmsley, and Helmsley gets counted out. So Mero wins the match, but not the Intercontinental Championship, unfortunately.
He snaps because he's the Wild Man.
Yes, he hits the wild thing on Hunter Hearst Helmsley.
Yeah, he dragged him back in the ring and then
left his mark on the man. And Mero took the IC title with him. He's like, screw it, I'm taking it. And
so then they have to announce it.
Well, we're waiting for Howard Finkel, and I see you see in the corner Vince is doing this, Finkel didn't get it the first time. Like, announce it.
Right.
Oh yeah, by the way, you can't win the title.
Not changed. When does he get hurt? I don't remember this. He gets
shortly
hurt
after this.
Yeah, because then that was the end. Once he got hurt, that whatever momentum he had, it was
gone, because then Sable's coming into her own, and then they bring him back with the ridiculous boxing gimmick.
Marvelous.
Mark Mero with the theme I liked, but I didn't like the character. It was at this point you should have brought him back as the Wild Man.
Yeah.
But in any event, Goldust comes back again and attacks Helmsley. Helmsley's not having a good night. He really isn't. So unfortunate for him. So following this match, Doc Hendricks is interviewing Psycho Sid. And they're talking about what happened earlier that day on Superstars. And this is where, watching this live, I'm like, oh, man, 97 is going to be freaking awesome. Because you got Sid that gets attacked by Shawn. Bret gets involved. Then it's just like the whole – I'm like, let's have a triple threat match here. And I mean, this was good. I liked it. I like the attitude by Bret, especially. I thought 1997.
I gotta disagree, man.
Was pretty good. You didn't like it
when he turned heel. The problem is at this point he's a babyface and he's coming off whiny, and he doesn't realize. Bret doesn't even realize this, because I've read Bret's book. I've seen a lot of interviews. I've seen interviews with other people. He thought he was being a babyface.
He really wasn't.
By saying he keeps getting screwed over and messed with, but he was just coming off like he was whining.
Yeah, because later on he says, about how WrestleMania and Shawn and, this is my time, it's my title, and all that. I got to agree with that. But when they finally turned him full
Yeah,
heel,
it worked.
I did
it
like
worked.
it. It really did work.
They had to turn him at that point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, now following this, they do a video package, and I'll get to the rules of the match in a minute because, oh my God. They did a video package on The Undertaker, Executioner, Mankind, Paul Bearer, the entire 8 months of this.
Never-ending feud.
Seriously. And we've seen the Executioner at the last 3 pay-per-views, the In Your House Survivor Series, and then here. He helped Mankind along with a bunch of guys at the Buried Alive match. He interfered when Undertaker was about to get his hands on Paul Bearer at Survivor Series when he was in the cage. And now they're having an Armageddon rules match, Undertaker versus the Executioner, a.k.a. Terry Bam Bam Gordy.
Terry Gordy, yeah. Who's not in his prime anymore. He had
he
was in some sort of an accident. And he just was never really the same after that.
Unfortunately, no. Yeah. Good wrestler, but he tried here. I'll at least give him that he tried.
Yeah.
Now, the rules of the Armageddon match are kind of similar to what we saw at WrestleMania 10 with Savage and Crush. No disqualification, no count out. After a pinfall or submission, the defeated wrestler has a 10 count to resume the match. When one man cannot continue, the match is over. Well, it's not quite like WrestleMania 10 because you had 60 seconds to get back to the ring. So this was the rules of the Armageddon. They might as well just have said this is a no-holds-barred match.
Pretty much Armageddon match.
Because this match pretty much became a handicap match. Yeah. Because now Mankind's getting involved.
It was like there was no DQ, so...
And Undertaker and Executioner, they took this all over the place. At one point, he even fell out in the moat outside. I mean, he came back to the ring.
We can't get our cameras up there. We can't get our cameras up there.
And when they do, you see him freaking falling into the moat.
This is crazy.
God. Man. This one was Animal House. Seriously, this one was. When Mankind, and what's funny is they should when Mankind came. You remember the whole in your house setup destroyed. He went through the window, trying to take the wall down. He's coming through the front door. I started laughing at this. I'm like, oh, good God, man, this is like insane. What's funny is now this is where I'm going with this. At this point now during the match. Gorilla Monsoon comes down with security. Mm-hmm. They put Mankind in a straitjacket.
Yeah, that was funny.
It was. So while they're doing this is when Undertaker and Executioner are fighting in the back. They make their way back to the ring. You can tell Executioner is dripping wet because when the Undertaker puts him in the tombstone, he's just dripping. Tombstone pin. Undertaker gets the victory. Close the book on Executioner. Unfortunately, Gordy had a great career. Unfortunately, coming here for the last few months didn't really work. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it's not going to close the feud on Undertaker and Mankind because they're going to fight again in 97 and in 98. But 98 was their best match.
Mm-hmm.
So now, following this match, they right before the main event, Doc Hendricks interviewed Bret Hart and they showed what happened earlier. And this is where like you said, when he's starting whining. As they're interviewing, you hear Shawn Michaels' music. Because Michaels obviously is going to be commentating because he's the #1 contender for the winner at the Royal Rumble in San Antonio. So Bret, all of a sudden, you hear this? Why is he coming down there? Why is he in my match? This is my time.
He's just going on very whiny.
Shut up, get in the ring.
Shawn, again, not in the match, but, here.
Exactly. He's known for doing this in Bret's matches going forward, especially WrestleMania. But I mean, it is custom sometimes when they do this, to get the storyline up, getting even more is with the #1 contender to come down, evaluate both wrestlers, and obviously get involved in the match, which is what happened. So now Bret and Sid get into the match. During the match, they did botch the turnbuckle move. They actually had to do it a second time.
Surprising. Bret doesn't really like his matches.
He's usually pretty good in it. Yeah. I mean,
it happens though. It's human.
Overall, he wrestled a great match.
Yeah, the match wasn't bad. I mean, I thought it could have been better. But Shawn was doing like heel commentary, which was to me was a little weird because I'm like,
yeah, it's kind of like he was changing here.
But he's being a heel, I guess, edgier and
Maybe the original plan was for Sean to go in now as the heel and Bret
Maybe.
as the babyface when
I
they
guess.
originally wanted these guys to fight at WrestleMania.
Right. Yeah. So I don't
There's
know.
no telling because Sean ruined it all.
Yeah, because
He lost a
he lost his
smile.
smile, and that was that.
Yeah, whatever. But during the match, he's talking about, he goes, Sid's got to pay for what he did to Lothario. And, Sean's just talking smack about Bret. You're a zero, my hero. All that good stuff. So, if I knew at this point, watching this live, that they were going to WrestleMania. And that this was the start of the huge buildup. It was supposed to be massive. Unfortunately, we didn't get it. What's funny is Bulldog and Owen had actually come out during this match, and then here we go with Austin again. Austin attacks Bret. This is where I really thought, okay,
takes out his knee. Yeah.
Austin's now attacked Bulldog, Owen, Bret. There's a common denominator here. Are they going to unite against him? Turns out they do. Now, this is where the match gets really interesting. They're on the outside and whatnot. Sid pushes, gets involved with Sean. Sean naturally now has to get involved in the match. He gets up on the apron. Bret gets thrown into Sean. Powerbomb pin. Bret has been screwed again. Sid gets the victory. Sid's now going to the Royal Rumble to defend the title against Shawn Michaels. Did not end there because this was a classic. You gotta wonder, was he really throwing some blows at him? I thought he was.
Nah, he just made it look real. That was excellent. But there was a spot earlier when with the thing with Austin where Austin takes out his knee. Bret gets back in the ring. He's like limping, and then Sid is kind of pretending like he's actually concerned about him. And you're thinking, whoa, is Sid going to be a babyface? And he just starts attacking him. And then Sean's cheering him on. Sean's cheering him on.
He's like, come on, attack him. And Sid's like,
Sean wouldn't have gotten involved.
What's going on?
If Sid didn't do, what he did, he would. Sean would. Yeah, it was sooner or later. Then Sean was like, the hell, and Sean got in there and then cost Bret the match. And then that's
a sign of things to come over the next few months.
It's like a hockey. They did like a hockey fight because Bret pulls his shirt and starts hitting him. Good stuff. It looked good. It looked real. It was legit.
This was a great storyline moment going into 1997 with these three guys. Unfortunately, thanks to Sean, it became chaos over the next few months. He wins the title. He drops it. They do the fatal four-way because Bret's supposed to win the Rumble. Austin wins it. Austin's not going to WrestleMania. The cage matches. 1997 with these feuds, to me, I think it really did pick up. I really did enjoy 1997, especially the beginning of it with the way the title was going between all these individuals.
Right.
And on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. So overall, I thought this pay-per-view was all right. The
main event and the Intercontinental title match, I think, were the best two matches on the card. Everything else was lackluster, unfortunately.
Some things up going forward.
Yeah.
So. All right, well, that's our review. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you guys soon.
Take care.